Welcome, everybody. All right. So here's a question. All right, this or no? Is this too much? What do you think? That's good. It's gonna. Is it? There's no way to put it higher up. So it's that, or I hold it in my hand, which I think won't work. Yes, no, or no, yes. This is with. That's without. On or who says on? Raise your hand. All right, we're going on. There we go. There you go. Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Gary Rudman. I am the host and producer of The Fly. Let's give a big hand. We have been doing this. Come on in. We have been doing this for. Welcome, not Cody. So we have been doing this for 2 years. This is our 24th show. We've had some amazing storytellers over the course of these 2 years, and you're going to hear some of them tonight. We're going to tell some of the best stories that we've had. Some people who have told great stories either couldn't do it tonight, or didn't want to do it tonight, or are out of town. So it's not every best story, but these are the ones that are great. These all are great stories. So a couple things you need to know. I don't know who knows about the moth. Who's heard of the moth before? No. Okay, everybody's heard of the moth. Well, good. This is a complete ripoff of The Moth, right? It's true stories told live in front of an audience, a live audience based on a theme. Now, tonight's theme is, there is no theme because it's the best stories, best of. That's what the theme is tonight. So because my son is going to be late, I'm not going to go first. I typically go first and tell my story, but I'm going to, you know what, he's like 5 minutes away. Oh, no. Wait, is that him? He's 9 minutes away. 6 minutes away. Come on in. Hey there, hi. Welcome, come on in. All right, there we go. We'll get them later. All right. So let's see. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't know what else I have to tell you. So I know what it is. I do this because I want to develop community, right? We live in a very troubling time with a administration that is somewhat challenging, and everybody's up against each other. And it's really nice when we have a group of people come together and share and tell stories. And one of the things that's really hard, and I want you to appreciate, is that everyone who comes up here to tell a story, it's really hard to be up here, right? It's brave to tell a story. So when everybody comes up here, please come up here and give them a great big round of applause, because it's tough to be here. I love it. Obviously, that's why I'm doing it. But the rest of the people, and some of these people you're going to tell, they're not shy. So I think they'll do fine. I think we're ready to go. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any questions from the audience? Yes, question. How do you decide what the best of are? How do I decide? I'm the host. I get to pick. Absolutely, yes. So great. We're going to start tonight with our veteran storyteller. This is Mimi, the other Mimi. This is Mimi, who has told stories, quite a few stories here, and we're coming here to tell. Mimi's coming up. Everybody, big hand applause for Mimi. Wow. And if you don't like that, we can put it on.
That's crazy.
That's really bright.
2 minutes away. Yeah, good.
Okay, do it.
I'd been working at the Marin YMCA for, 8 years at this point. And as you'd suspect, any big group of 20-somethings were always trying to one-up each other. Bigger parties, larger adventures, more ridiculous nights on the town. So you knew I had to take my friend up on the offer, who worked in admin, when she asked me if I wanted to go flying with her and her dad. Her dad owned one of those two-seater planes and left it over in the airport over in Lucas Valley. At this point, I had no idea there was an airport. I was already feeling like, ooh, my friends, I'm going to pulverize them. I already know there's an airport. I'm going to be in a plane. And her dad had a friend who also had another two-passenger plane and was looking for a co-pilot. I was jazzed. I didn't even tell anybody I was going because I wanted to just casually bring it up, you know, on the Friday after. No, I don't know, I was just flying. So we all met at Lucas Valley and got these two-passenger planes, and I'm like feeling so cool, right? You have to go through these gates. I'd never been in a small airport. I'd never been on a small plane. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get like jumpsuits. Like I was like, this is it. I've got my new life ahead of me. Like I'm just amazing. And it was kind of phenomenal, right? Like I was a 20-something-year-old and they were like, right, this is like what you do and you sit down here and you put this on and all of a sudden we were off, right? My friend with her dad in the small plane, they take off. I'm sitting in the passenger plane with this guy I had never met before in my life. We'll call him Tom. Super nice guy, was trying to like tell me about flying, make small talk, as anyone would try to do with a random 20-year-old that's just sitting in a plane next to you for that part of the day. It was unbelievable. We flew up to the airport in Petaluma, we had lunch. I was like, oh, I'm so cool. I'm like mentally checking off this list of being like, my friends are never gonna believe this. I am going to crush. We leave from Petaluma and head up to Santa Rosa. And on the way in that direction, Tom leans over and he's like, do you get like motion sickness? And I'm like, I mean, it's a little late to ask Tom. But I was like, no, I like love roller coasters. Like I love it all. And he was like, so if we like did some stunts, like that'd be okay with you? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, Tom. So we're sitting there, you know, the two planes flying like right next to each other. I can see my friend in the plane next to us. And as all of a sudden you see this kind of like, and they disappear and we start flipping in these dog flips in the sky. All of a sudden you're looking at the ocean, you're flipping in all these different directions. We're going all over, flying over Tomales Point. And he was like, I mean, would you wanna steer? At this point, I am like, I need to record this man. My friends are never gonna believe this. This is unbelievable. I'm there, I'm flying the plane, but it's just like a little joystick. I don't know what I'm doing. And you can't really mess it up that much, right? He's just like, don't do anything. Just like, I was just like, oh, I am so cool. I am flying a small plane. We just did dog flips. I'm pretty much like the hero of my story. My friends are never going to believe this. We're coming in, we're passing Petaluma, and I am just like beaming. I'm one of those kind of people that before the adventure ends, I'm already recapping the adventure, right? I'm one of those people. I'm like, remember when we had breakfast? And they're like, it's lunch. Yeah, it was just like an hour ago. And I'm like talking to poor Tom, who got stuck with me. And I'm like, remember when we were doing flips? He was like, you are so weird, right? But I'm just like beaming with happiness. So we're slowly coming down. I'm like, just like recapping like the best day of my life, you know? And as we're kind of getting closer to Lucas Valley, the other planes in front of us, it's, you know, they're heading down toward the runway. This noise starts happening in the plane. Boom, boom. I mean, nobody wants any noises on planes, but definitely not a noise like that, right? That was a bad noise, right? I'm not a plane person, but I could identify that as not the noise you want on a plane. Tom is clicking things. Tom is now more ferociously clicking things. Nothing is happening. The noise is continuing. Boom, boom. At this point, Tom looks over at me and with all earnestness says, the wheels aren't coming down. Excuse me, Tom? You're like a pilot, right? Like you like know how to do this. Like we've got like parachutes or something. Like there's a solution. He looks at me and he goes, we're gonna have to crash land. I can't tell if he's joking. I don't know Tom. Maybe this is some kind of joke. My friends are like, oh, we're gonna get Mimi, you know? He is dead serious. He has stopped even trying to push buttons. The wheels are not coming down. Slowly, we're getting closer to Earth. And he looks at me and says, I need you to brace for impact. Okay, I don't know about y'all, but I don't even know what that means. I also am pretty uncomfortable. When I get awkward, I start to smile. So poor Tom is sitting there. There's no wheels on a plane, and a creepy 20-year-old is like this. I don't know, holding my knees, whatever I could think of would save me from careening toward Earth in a plane. The last 3 seconds of it are kind of a whoosh. We hit the tarmac and skid out along the whole thing. The propeller curled up, slid down the whole thing until we hit the grass. Tom, amazed, shocked, with fear, looks over at me and is like, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, best day ever, Tom! Best day ever, Tom! My friends are gonna eat this up in your dreams, Live through a plane crash, please. Tom was not that jazzed. His plane had seen better days. Luckily, the fire department showed up. We were all okay. We were all safe. But that's that.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that. So that's Mimi, everybody. That's an amazing story. I love that story. What I love about Mimi is that no matter where you are or what you're doing, you can say, oh, I was at this place. She goes, I've been there. We had a thing the other day, I'm not kidding, we were talking to some people about crazy things that we've done, and someone says, oh, I've been in the White House. Who else has been in the White House? And Mimi's like, I have. I mean, it's like, seriously, it's crazy. No matter what you do, she's been there. And she has, every one of those things has those kind of stories. So that's Mimi. One more time for Mimi. Mimi is part of a improv troupe, and so am I, and we'll actually be performing here on August 22nd. So just heads up for that. Anyway, what else? What else? So Cody went into the bathroom, so I'm going to have someone else tell a story. Well, actually, before I do that, let me just say, I had experience on a plane as well, which is, I thought it was funny because when I was younger, we would from Boston, and we would go to Martha's Vineyard. And every once in a while, we would take the plane there. And when you take the plane, it's this little teeny plane, and one of the seats is the co-pilot seat. And you'd sit there, and I'm kind of a fidgety guy, and I'd be like, "Can I touch this?" Say, "No, don't touch that." You know, every time we would, you know, he'd be pulling back on the stick, and I would be like, "Oh," and he's like, "No, don't touch it." Anyway, that's my story. All right. All right, there's Cody. So I'm going to tell my story. Issa, you want to pop up the... There we go. There it is. By the way, all my family's here. I have my sister over there, who's just going to be for the story right over there. I have my most faithful attendant, which is my mother. She's also here. I have my son, Kyle, who's here from University of Denver. I have my son, Cody, all the way here from San Luis Obispo. He just drove here just this minute. Thank you, Cody. And I have one more child, but I'm going to tell you about that story right now. Oh, and my wife! I'm just going to, I'll see you later. All right, I'm going to go. Woo! I'm gonna pay for that later. Oh, that's not good. That is not good. Not good. I'm so screwed. I love you, honey. Okay. So, all right. So, it was 2006, and we were at my parents' house in Boston, and Justine and I had just had a lovely evening with them, and we're up in the bedroom kind of getting ready for bed, and she turns to me and with some unwelcome news. I'm pregnant. Now, that was not good news for me. I was not happy. Justine came from a three-child family. She had a brother and a sister, and they each had 3 kids. So that made sense to her. But for me, I came from a 2-child family. And in my world, that made sense, right? You go to a restaurant, 4-top, right? You go to you get in a car, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. You go to a hotel, and there's 2 beds. You know, you can split up the beds. If one parent just needs a break, one parent takes 2 kids, and the other one has some time alone. If you want some special time with your kid, 1-on-1, it makes perfect sense. 3, not so much. And we had 2 kids. We had Cody and Kyle. They were 5 and 3 at the time. And I was happy with that. You know, I mean, yes, it would have been nice to have a girl, but I thought, okay, I got 2 kids, I'm great. And I remember we went to Vasco. And you guys remember Vasco? Who remembers Vasco? Okay, it's a restaurant here in Mill Valley. Anyway, it was. And it's now the Corner Bar. And we went to Vasco, and I remember sitting there in the restaurant at a 2-top. And there was another couple there with their 2 boys. And I'm thinking, like, oh my God, they're the older, you know, they're teenage boys. That's going to be me someday. With my 2 kids and that 4-top, it makes sense. Justine and the Fates had some other plans in mind. It all started, and you guys close your ears for me. It all started one night when Justine was wearing these boots. Let's just say we call them Issa boots. That's her name, Issa. And so we decided that, it was happening. It was happening. We're going to do this thing. And we decided that, we decided that we would Justine had always planned on having natural childbirth, right? Because that's how she is. She's a superhero. It's amazing. She had no drugs, and we had 3 kids. Now, each kid, of course, had their own quirky thing that happened. Cody decided it was a really good idea to be born on a Friday at 5 p.m., and we had to drive to Pleasanton from Mill Valley. So there I was, weaving in and out of traffic like a sitcom, and we got pulled over not once but twice by 2 different police officers who neither gave us a ticket nor a police escort. So what we got there, Cody was fine. Then it was Kyle. We had a doula. We're going to be at our house. She's going to come in, and she's going to help give birth. We help Justine give birth. And right at the last minute, Justine spikes 102 fever. We had to rush to the hospital. She got her antibiotics, and then 2 seconds later, without drugs, of course, out pops Kyle. So Issa, we were going to have this kid at home. That was the plan, okay? We hired a midwife. That was what was going to happen. So the day comes. Justine comes into the room at like 4 in the morning and says, my water broke, but it's not happening yet. We had 3 kids, 2 other kids. We're like, okay, we both go back to sleep. The next morning, we wake up, and the plan was to go on a hike with my sister. It was going to be me, not just who was going to stay home. And then I was going to take the 2 boys with my sister for a hike. And we get to the door, and we're about to leave, and Justine says, no, you're not going. It's happening. And I'm like, oh, okay. So my sister graciously takes the 2 boys on a hike and away, and I call the midwife. And the plan was that she was going to have this birth that was just going to work. It was going to be, she was going to labor in the hot tub, and she was going to be surrounded by pillows and comfort, and it was all going to be wonderful. That is not what happened. Justine didn't make it to the living room. She was on the ground, all fours, and going into contractions. And we're like, okay. So she has a contraction. It stops. I run upstairs and get some supplies and come back down. She has another contraction. Stop. I run upstairs and get some more supplies and come back down. But the thing is, what's so amazing is, again, for some reason, we're both in this Zen space. She's just breathing through the pain. I'm looking at my BlackBerry, like looking at like what messages I might have, not swiping, because you don't do that back. It was more typing things. I'm looking at the BlackBerry, just looking at my work email, because it's going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. And then at one point, I get up to get something, maybe some water or something, and I'm coming back, and she says, she's coming. And I said, the midwife? And she's like, no, she's coming. I'm like, she is not oh my God, she's coming. So she's crowning. And next thing I know, there's a push, and this little baby head is popping out. And again, I am in this Zen mode. I take the little squeegee, and I squeeze out her nose and her mouth, and I make sure the umbilical cord isn't wrapped around her neck. And another push, and the shoulder pops out. And another push, and a little bit of pull, and out slides this baby into my hands onto the floor. Yeah, Isis always talks about how I dropped her. I did. It was more of a gentle sort of introducing her to the earth. So I picked her up, and I put her on Justine's chest. And not 2 minutes later, Justine will argue this, but not 2 minutes later, the midwife came in. And I had the peace of mind to say to her, do we get a discount? She said no. The fates and my wife wanted me to bond with my daughter. I was the first one to see her. I was the first one to pick her up. I was the first one to squeeze her foot. And I was the first one to drop her. And she and I are super close. She is one of the most important people in my life, my whole family, of course, but she's very special in that we share the same sense of humor. We have the same lust for life, passion for life. And the gods, the fates, and Justine wanted me to have a daughter, and I did. And her name is Isa. Wait a sec. I'm sorry. Whoops. So that's Cody, 5. There's Isa. There's Kyle. Oh. And Justine is. Oh. You're 3. You're 2? All right, he's 2. All right, again, the details aren't important. Anyway, yes. All right, Isa. So who's next, Isa? You know what? I think we're going to have Fred come next. Fred is a great friend of mine, and he's coming up to tell a story. Let's everybody give a big hand for Fred.
Love you, man. Oh boy, hard to follow that and that picture and everything. My goodness. All right.
And Justine.
Who's Justine? So this story is called The Miracle Stone Steve. And it began about 4 years ago. I had been working in corporate America for about 30 years as an HR person. And I decided to strike out on my own, be an entrepreneur, be an executive coach, which is a great endeavor, but it requires actually having people to coach. And I was a little nervous about that. Like, where do you even start? Where do I find these people, et cetera? But the good news was I had a smooth entry. I had this group I had been working with. I had hired them as a vendor. They were a leadership company. I think of them like the Navy SEALs of leadership. You know, they would come in and they would just take over, and it would just be amazing. And I got to partner with them, and I got to learn their models, and I felt ready. And guess what? As I announce I'm going to go out on my own, Paul from the leadership group calls me and says, we've got an assignment for you. And you can do this session for 2 days with a company that you know really well. And I was like, this is awesome. But as I got closer to the event, I found out that they really didn't have any plan or any schedule or any architecture for what this event would be like. And so I started getting nervous, but Paul said, it's okay. I'm going to introduce you to Steve. And I was like, Steve? I mean, Steve is a guru. He is the one, not just like you'd follow or learn from, he's the one that scouts ahead, knows what human behavior will be, comes back, creates the program, gives it to all of us people to figure out, and he's just amazing. And so I have the first call with Steve on Zoom, and he's everything you'd imagine, right? He's standing there with a Zoom background of mountains, which, some of the lesser people would have photos they'd use. Steve lives in the mountains. He's in Colorado. And he does the leadership stuff on the side, but he's thinking big thoughts while he's out in the mountains every day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. And so we tell him the problem, and I'm waiting for his answer, and I'm like, this is going to be so great. And he looked a little, I'll admit, disinterested. But I know he was thinking deep thoughts, because this is Steve, right? And so we say, let's give him some time for Steve to go off and think about it. And a week later, Paul calls me, and I'm like, what did Steve say? And Steve said he's going on vacation. He doesn't really want to be part of this. And I felt a little crushed, but I'm like, I got this. It's okay. We do the event. It's not as good as if Steve had designed it, but it was good. We got it done. It was okay. And then I get the call, because Steve got to know me a little bit, right? And he invites me to be part of an 8-week collaboration. Every week I would meet with him and about 10 other coaches, and we were testing out this new concept with another collaborator. And I thought, this is what I'm talking about, right? Steve wants me, with my experience, to be there and be able to vet this vendor, and this is going to be awesome. And I don't think you all would understand, but like coaches, we get really intimate. Like, we drop in fast. We're able to really share intimate things about each other. And we do this for 8 weeks. And at the end of 8 weeks, I find out he's actually the gatekeeper for future work with this leadership group. So I'm like, this is perfect. I've spent 8 weeks getting to know him. He knows me. We're going to be cool. I set up a call with him. I talked to him. He's in Colorado with the big mountains behind him. And I said, Steve, I'm really interested in working with you. What do you think? What would that look like? And he said, well, actually, I typically work with people I really know. And I was like so caught off guard. I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I tell you more about myself. I start giving him my CV, and it's one of those feelings, I don't know if you've ever had it, where you're trying to explain yourself and you're in quicksand and you're just it's getting worse and worse and worse. And like that went on for like an hour or like 3 minutes. I don't remember which, but, and I could tell Steve was having deep thoughts. He was kind of sitting there going like, okay, should I do a laundry? Whites first or colors? Or how can I get off this call with this guy? And so then we end the call, and lo and behold, I don't hear from Steve. So I'm like, okay, it's all right. I don't need Steve in my life. I'm fine. I got my business. I start developing it. I get clients. I'm feeling good about myself. I am standing on my own 2 feet, and I'm fine. And then I get an email from Steve. He's asking for my help. Yeah, he's working on some new research, and he's having an event in Salt Lake City, and he wants only the finest minds to come together and be part of this new research. And I'm like, I don't respond right away, to be honest with you. You need to play it cool with Steve. You don't want to be too overeager. And so I waited like a week. And then I finally decided, for Steve's sake, I'm going to participate in this thing. And so I sign up, and there is a fee. It looks like a training, but it was really an elite group of people like me with that experience. And so I get my plane ticket, I go to Salt Lake City, and somewhere on the trip there, I start to have that sinking feeling, like maybe I've got like this sycophantic thing for Steve, and maybe this is just a training, and he's just extorting money out of me. But I'm like, no, it'll be okay, because I remember, oh my God, Gina's going to be there. And Gina I met in the 8-week collaboration. She's like a sister from another mother. Like, we're just tight. We really had some nice connection there. And I'm like, she'll be there. It'll be okay. I'll have fun meeting her, because she's part of the leadership group, so I know she'll be there. And then I realized she won't be there. She's in Colorado too. This is in Salt Lake City. She's not going to be there. So I'm literally sitting now having this realization in the parking lot. I'm in the car. I'm holding on the steering wheel, and I'm like, should I just leave? Like, this is embarrassing. Why am I here? Why am I sucking up to this guy and like doing all this stuff? And guess who walks by? No, Gina. Gina walks by, and I'm like, it's a sign from God, right? I'm like, if Gina's here, it's all going to be cool. I'm going to have a good session. So we go in, we start the class. I see Steve. He greets me with well, maybe he didn't greet me exactly, but there's a lot of us there. And I knew over the course of 2 days of intimate coaching work, we were going to become tight like I'd always dreamed about. And about an hour in, I feel I'm in a coaching session. It's really intense, one-on-one with another person. And I'm like, this is painful thing in my back. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And then, but I'm like, I got to stay focused. And then another. And then, so then I go to the bathroom, and that doesn't seem to resolve things. And then, like, the day's going on, and the pain's getting more intense. And I'm like in and out of my seat, but I'm staying focused because it's Steve's wisdom that we're gathering, and I'm going to be there for it. And then I have a moment where I think I'm going to throw up, and I like run to the bathroom, and I fortunately don't. And then Steve's there checking on me. Like, he came in to check on me. Like, this is the kind of guy he is. I don't know if I've made it clear. And maybe he had to go to the bathroom, but I'm sure he was there for me because he was worried about me running in and out. And so I tell him what's going on. I'm like, I'm not a doctor, but I think I might have a kidney stone. And Steve's like so amazing. He's like, oh, well, I got to talk to the receptionist if he needs something. And then he leaves, right? But like that, like he shows he cares. He really cares about me. So I go back. I last till 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So I go to see the receptionist. And the good news is she's been trained by Steve. So I say, hey, I'm having this emergency thing. I think I might have a kidney stone. I got to go to the emergency room. She's like, I think she was typing or something. And she's like, yeah, here's an address. Go to the emergency room. And she keeps going. So I was like, yeah, she cares too. I'm surrounded by love. I'm in Salt Lake City. I'm far from home. I'm alone. I'm driving myself. So I drive 45 minutes to the address she gave me, like while having attacks, like in the thing, and like wondering if I'm dying. But I'm like, it's okay because I've got them in my support. And that begins. Then at that place, they say, oh, yeah, you got to drive 45 minutes the other direction to go to the real place is actually they can do something for you. I'm like, great. So 6 hours later, CT scan, I'm on morphine, and the doctor comes in, and it says the words that no person wants to hear from your doctor. I'm like, so what is it? He's like, well, here's the good news. We know it is a kidney stone. It's 3 millimeters, so we can't go in, and we're not going to go in and do anything. You are now in the grin and bear it part of the treatment. I'm like, what do you mean grin and bear it? What does that mean? He's like, here's some ibuprofen, here's some anti-nauseas, and the door is there. Like, oh, yeah, we'll talk to you. Good luck. It's all going to be fine. Drink a lot of water. You'll be great. So I get in my car, and I'm like, can I get in the car? Like, you just shot me up with morphine. They're like, yeah. So just know that as you're driving home tonight. Like, who could be right next to you? So I drive back to the hotel, I take my drugs, I'm on the sequence, I get through the night, and the next morning, what do? I go back to class because I'm committed to learning from this man, the guru, Steve. And so we go through the class, and I'm there in my pain, but I have my drugs, and it's all good, and I know what's wrong. And then at the very end, it culminates with a final coaching session after we've all been trained up and we're empowered. And I'm going to meet someone, they say, pair up. And I turn to my left and I say, will you? And that person's walked away. I'm like, okay. I turn to my right and that person's left too. So I'm like, all right, I can't even find someone to do this with because they probably think I have COVID or something, right? Because I've been like in and out and back and forth. And so finally I look across the room and there's Gina. She's surrounded by 5 people that want to be coached by her. And I go over and I'm like, Gina, it's time for you and me to go together. And she said, yes. I'm like, thank God. And so we go into a coaching session. I want to talk to her about my business. And she looks me dead in the eye and she says, Fred, what's this stone really about? And I break into tears and I'm like, it's about Steve. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just want him to like me and he doesn't seem to care. And she's like, it's okay, Fred. I'm like, but you work with him all the time. She's like, no, I quit 2 months ago. The guy's a jerk. Like, I don't want to work there. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel seen. I feel validated. I'm okay. This is going to be super. And so we go back to finish the thing. There's only a few minutes left in the training. And she says, wait, one more thing. I'm like, what? And she said, here's what's going to happen. I'm also a body worker. I'm like, what? And she says, let me just put a little energy. And she like puts her hand on my back and she gives me some energy. And she said, here's what's going to happen. The training's going to end. you're going to pass the stone, and you're going to have no pain. And I'm like, okay, Gina, I'll believe anything at this point. Anything to get me off these drugs, that'll be great. So I go back into the room, we finish the training, and then it was this weird thing. There's like 25 of us, it's a packed room, and all of a sudden, there's just 2 of us, me and Steve. And I'm like, how did that happen? Like the last person I really want to see, but I go up to shake his hand, and he's like 6'4", giant hulking man, strong, Colorado, mountains. And he gives me his hand, and I reach out and I take it, and it was the limpest handshake of my life. And we both kind of started like, we should get to and go maybe again see each other at lunch and that thing. And I walk away, I'm just like, yick. And I go into the bathroom, and I pass my stone with no pain. And so I realize, what a miracle, I've passed my Steve. Thank you. Oh, he was just taking the mic.
Fred, everybody, that's Fred. Okay, yeah, I don't have anything to talk. I mean, that's a great story. Wow, can you imagine? I'm glad I don't have to imagine. All right, well, we have one more story before we have a break. Just before the story, I just want to remind everybody, this space is available a lot. And this, again, because we're all about community and we all want to, create wonderful places for people to get together, this is a great space to do that. Jules over there runs this place, and it's just a big hand for Jules. And we're always looking for great events to happen here. Like I said, we're going to be doing improv here. There's, they've had musical acts here. There's poetry readings. We have the story slam. All these great things. So please, talk to Jules if you have any sort of events that you want to be interested, that you want to do, because it's a super place for it. Okay. We have our next story, which is Diane. Now, Diane is special. Let's have a big hand for Diane, everybody. And by the way, you know who else is special? My wife, Justine.
That's great.
Take it away.
I don't know anybody named Steve. So I was 35, never been married, and dated every dysfunctional man in America. Started on Europe. My dating pool kind of looked like the bar scene from Star Wars. I'd pretty much given up hope, and I was just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to have some love in my life? I lived in Tucson, Arizona, a place that I moved by mistake on a whim. I didn't like the place. I don't like flat. I don't like desert. I don't like the flowers that grow there. I don't like pretty much the little stunty yellow flowers. I mean, I don't like any of that. And so some friends of mine came up to San Francisco, and they invited me to come up and visit them. Oh my gosh. I got here, and coming from the desert to this was amazing. I loved everything about it. I love the redwood trees. I love the ocean. I love the irises that grow wild on the way to Mount Tam. I loved everything about it, and I was just so at home here. So I still didn't have any love in my life, but I did study with Shakti Gawain, and I wrote affirmations until my hands were like bloody stumps, I deserve love. My perfect mate is here now. I have a dyad. I deserve love. So I did that. And one day, a man came along. He ran around with the same group that I ran around with. We were always in the North Beach coffee shops at night. And I would sit in the North Beach coffee shops during the day, writing in my journal, and everybody in the shop thinks they're writing a novel. They're not, they're just writing, this is my journal, this is my journal, this is my journal. I did end up writing some books, but at that time, I didn't have a thought for that. So I was in the North Beach area, and I met this adorable guy, and he was so cute. He was preppy-ish from back east, from New York, and I loved that. I'm from South Carolina, and so just so cute. Just adorable. He's right over there in the blue shirt. I discovered to my horror that he was 12 years younger than me. It's a dirty job, and I'm the broad for the job. So we started going out, and at first I didn't even tell him that I was older than him. And I, you know, I'm like, I have something to tell you. He said, is it about your age? I said, yeah. And he said, don't you remember you were buying that pair of shoes and had to show your driver's license? I've known the whole time. So that was wonderful. But I wasn't sure, you know, I'd had a lot of broken hearts, and so I didn't know for sure if this was going anywhere. And I thought, I'm 36, I'm not getting any younger, I'm just going to sit him down for the talk, the second talk. I'm a hard person to be with. And so I sat him down on a bench in Washington Square Park in North Beach, and I said, well, I'm not getting any younger, and I don't know if this is going anywhere, but I just need to know, because if it's not, I'm out of here. And that precious man said, the way I feel right now, I want to grow old with you. And we're old. And the day we got married, right over in Corte Madera, I wore Snow White from head to toe. I think if you don't use it a while, it grows back. And you're better than a virgin, you're a reborn. So the day we got married, I had on that Snow White from head to toe, and I walked down the aisle and I thought of all my prayers and hopes over the years of finding a mate. And I grew up, as I said, in South Carolina, where they have you start praying on your knees when you're 12. South Carolina. So it's like, now I lay me down to sleep, sin a man, don't make him a creep.
Okay, now you can tell.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. My name is Dave. This is the train story. So this takes place, to get the setting correct, this takes place when I was about 16 years old. And it was, if I recall correctly, it was spring break. My parents announced that we were going to go down to San Clemente and stay down there by the beach for the week of spring break. And my older brother was already off in college, so it was my parents and I. And like, to their credit, they allowed me to bring my surfboard. We drove down and put it on the roof of the car, so that was cool. And so when we got down there, because I had found that the place we were staying was just a couple of miles away from one of the best surf spots in California. It's called Trestles. It was then and it's still now one of the best spots in California. So we very quickly settled into this routine where I would get up early, my parents were on vacation and sleeping in, and I would get my surfboard out, I would grab the keys to the car, because I was 16, I could drive, and I would drive a couple miles down the road to where, it's a parking lot, like public parking lot thing, and that was like up on a bluff, and you had to walk down this sort of bike path down to get down to the beach level, and when you got down to the beach level, to get to the surf spot, you face this choice of either like trudging almost a mile through just dry sand on the beach to get there, or you could just walk down this train trestle over this way that's like, 100 yards long or so, maybe a little plus or minus. And it was an active train track. I knew that much. I'd never been there before. I'd just seen pictures in the magazines. This is like the place everyone wants to go. So the first time I walked down there, I really didn't know what I was doing or what I was supposed to do, so I just walked in the sand. I'm like, I don't know, I'm just gonna play it safe. And as I do that, I see other people surfing, just walking back and forth down the trestle, and I'm trudging through the sand. And actually, the worst part was when you get to the other side where there's river mouth and all these like river stones you can kind of set up and not be sandy. As I'm walking over there, everyone's looking at me, and I'm just totally like, I'm just the idiot dude that walked through the sand. And as a surfer, it's even worse. You're a kook, right? You're clearly demonstrating that you don't know what you're doing. It was just really humiliating. So anyways, I got there, I paddled out, the waves were, it was so good. It was so good every time. That lived up to expectations. So then when I came back, I changed back, so I should mention that because you're doing all this walking, you walk down in street clothes, and for me, like I had my towel over my shoulder, I had my wetsuit in this bag over my back, and I'm carrying my surfboard. So you got a bunch of stuff, right? So when I changed back, I decided to just kind of wait and hang out and wait for someone else to start walking down the trestle so I could just like follow along because I don't know what I'm doing. And sure enough, these two guys got ready and they start walking back, and I just kind of quietly follow along behind them, and nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, back to the car. Next day, come down, and now, I'm 16, and I'm like, well, I have this all figured out. I'm local, it's fine, I got it. So continue down back, and this just continued every day. And I did, when I was out in the water, when I heard a train coming, I kept looking back because I was trying to figure out, like, there must be a pattern. Like, I'm getting out at the same time every day, I'm paddling out at the same time every day. Trains should run on a schedule. So I'm like, I just want to, like, when is it busy? And I kept watching, and it was like, I don't know, Amtrak train from the north, and freight train from the south, and then another freight train from the south. And I couldn't find a pattern every day. So I just, like, I don't know, seems to work out. And of course, like so many stories, we get to the last day. And, I walk down the trestle like usual, I go surf, I come back, I change, and now I'm walking back. This is my last trip. I've done this like 10 times now. And I'm walking back, and I should describe this trestle thing in case anyone is holding on to like the Stand By Me movie and the big arched bridge like for the train over the pretty river and the forest all around. This is SoCal. We're talking like, it's like 20 feet high over a dry riverbed with boulders and rusty shopping carts, right? Like that's what this is like. And a trestle, I had to look this up, a trestle is the most rudimentary form of a bridge. It's like, if you take a bunch of sawhorses and you put them in a row and you just drop some wood across the top, like that's a trestle. So this is just a bunch of railroad ties slapped together, probably like late 1800s. This thing is old and sketchy, and it's, over this nasty, it's just not pretty in any way. So I am walking back on this last trip, and I'm just nervous as all get out. I'm just super anxious. I'm doing the same thing I've done for every other day, and I'm freaking out. And so as I, at one point, I stopped, I put my hand on the rails, because I'm like, well, Native Americans do. They could feel the rail. But I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. You didn't do that yesterday. So, what's normal? And, I think it's vibrating. Well, is that normal? You don't know, because you didn't do it before. I'm just, seriously beating myself up, right? So I get to the point where I'm, 3/4 of the way down across this thing, and, I'm looking back, and the other fun thing is when you look behind you to the south, you can see for miles. You can see the train tracks for miles, plenty of time. And then it goes over the trestle, and then it pretty much immediately turns right behind these sandstone cliffs. So I'm walking along, and like I said, I'm just beating myself up, super anxious, I don't know why, and just continue to be like, dude, it's fine, you're gonna make it. You're almost there, and then boom, Amtrak train comes around, bursts out from behind the sandstone cliff. And I'm like, oh, man. So, I immediately start running, and because I'm so close to the end up ahead, the right answer here is to run basically towards the train, right? But it's, I'm pretty close. So, I am running, again, towel, wetsuit, surfboard, running down. And so I'm immediately running down this thing, and then that whole experience of big adrenaline hits, you wind up just super focused on the things you need to pay attention to, and you pick up every detail. And as the train comes around and actually squares up at me, the first thing I noticed was the light, and how that light's really bright. And this is daylight, sunny blue sky day in Southern California, and I'm like, whoa, man, That light's really bright and staring right at me. And the other thing I noticed was like, it's very high up off the ground because this thing is like much bigger. This locomotive is actually much bigger than I would have thought that it would be because, you know, you board a train and you get on like 4 feet up above the tracks and it's like, this is a train, okay. But when you're down on the tracks and the train's coming at you, it's dramatically bigger. So the next thing that I noticed was just it's just the heat, like out of the top, the big black diesel stacks just pushing black smoke up and out, and the heat coming out from that. And also, there was just this like heat like rolling off the front on both sides. And just like you could just see like the big like infrared like heat ripples, and it was like taking like the cliffs were all getting like modeled and like everything, and it's just billowing, you know. And so that's what I'm seeing as I'm running towards this thing, and the other thing I'm doing, like with every step that I'm taking, I am doing the mental math of like, okay, so how long is it going to take me to get to there, and how long is it going to take the train to get to here? Because the train to here is bad, me to there is really good. That's really what I want. And I keep looking at it, and the math is not working out. The train is just covering so much ground. It's just going so fast, and with every step I take, I can tell like this is not going to work out the way I want. You know, and I'm running. I don't know what else to do, and so I'm looking at that situation. I'm continuing to run, and then there was the horn. So, I mean, a train horn. That is a sound event. That's true. It's a sound. This is not really a sound that you like take in through your ears. The horn, like. I mean, it resonated everything. It resonated my lungs, like I can't breathe. I think it resonated like every internal organ and every synapse in my brain is just resonating at the frequency. You can't think, you can't breathe. I'm still running, but I mean, it is like very debilitating. Like I would love to see the functional MRI of a person getting blasted with a train horn from 200 yards. It's just like, that doesn't look good. No, it's not good. It was really a shockingly bad experience. So when the train horn stopped after 2 or 3 seconds, which was 10 million years in my moments at that time. The train horn stopped, and then I realized okay, so there's a person in that train. There's an engineer running that train who also does not like this situation, right? They didn't wake up this morning to like run over some 16-year-old kid. So I somehow remember noticing that, and then the horn came back again, and then I was completely debilitated again. And I can't breathe, and I can't think, and then the train horn stops, and I remember clearly sending the message that that's really not helpful. I understand the situation here. There is a locomotive bearing down on me, and I am working really, really hard to solve this problem. Okay, the horn is not helping, and there was no more horn after that, so I don't know. Did I connect with the engineer? I don't know, but thankfully the horn stopped. So I'm continuing to run, and it's continuing to not look good. And so in the end, I ran until there was no more time left, and I jumped. And I jumped off the side, and I was so close to the train that the first thing that happened was there was a blast of wind off the front of the train, right? It's like a big old Lego block doing 60 miles an hour, blowing a bunch of wind out. And so the surfboard starts to fly away from me, and I like hold on to it, and I'm like, this is good. I am going away from the train. I will take this deal. And it's like blasting me out and away from the train. That lasted for a split second because nature abhors a vacuum, the air that gets blown off the front of the train tries to fill that hole back in, so the surfboard comes smashing back into my rib, and I am now being vacuumed back towards the train in the air. There is nothing I can do here. But thankfully, gravity was also playing a role, because I am also falling. And I fell and hit the ground, and I had made it far enough that I wasn't over the boulders and the shopping carts. I was kind of on the side now. So I just hit the ground like face down in a pile. And so I'm on the ground, and this is certainly better than where I'd been 3 seconds before. But keep in mind, like I'm lying in the dirt, and there's an Amtrak train doing 60 miles an hour, like right there. This is, I mean, the earth is shaking, the noise is truly horrendous, and it's just really violent. And I remember looking up, and I remember seeing like the windows of the train flying by like this, and somehow I had the thought of like, there are people in there having like coffee and croissant, saying, this is so great, I'm so glad we took the train, isn't this beautiful? And I'm like gonna fall on the ground, I just want to cry. And so, like 10 seconds after that, the train's gone. It gets quiet. I pick myself up. I am okay. I look around. There's nobody there. And it just seemed to me the weirdest thing. It's like, did anybody see that? Did that even happen? It's some weird state of shock. And so in that state of shock, I walked up the bike path. I got in the car. I went back to my parents. It's like, well, we need to pack up. We need to check out. We need to drive back. I did all the things. I got in the backseat of the car. And I just sat with my Sony Walkman cassette player and didn't say a word for the entire drive back. And, you know, for my parents, it was just another day with a moody teenager, right? It's like, what's wrong with the kid? I don't know. Yeah, so I did eventually tell them much later on, and they kind of didn't get the severity of the situation. I don't know, I think they were just not meant to know. This situation was for me, and I think what happened for me, I mean, the biggest, most immediate thing was that as a 16-year-old young man, kid, I was like, immortality was pretty much assumed. Nothing was going to happen to me, right? So having to stare my mortality in the face there was a big deal. That really shifted things for me. And I think, like, the takeaway that I came out of it with was, you know, if there are things you want to do in this life, you had best get to it sooner rather than later. And I you know, when I look back at you know, choices I made, especially after college, with the kind of like, what are you going to do with your life, sort of thing. Yeah, I definitely took the path less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And I think the only reason I made those choices was because of the train story.
Give it up for Dave. So, in that experience of his train story, as he's telling the story, I'm getting PTSD from that geometry thing where it's like 2 trains leave a station. Anyone else? Okay, we're gonna have. I just want to again remind you that this space is available, and the person who runs the space is Jules, and she is going to tell the next story. Right? Let's go, Jules! If you can't hear... No. All right. If you can't hear, raise your hand. She'll talk louder. All right.
Okay. So I'm going to tell a story that happened many years ago. And my son, it's about my son, he's going to love this. He was about, well, I know exactly how old he was. He was 21 months old. And at the time, I was mighty proud because I thought he was potty trained. And in the UK, we tend to potty train right around 2. And I was like, my son's so advanced, we're on it, he's going to be the first of our group, he's going to be potty trained, it's going to be amazing.
You gotta speak up, Jules. Hey, right up to the microphone.
So I thought we were good to go. And at the time I lived over on Nob Hill in the city, and our stomping ground was Polk Street. And down on Polk Street was this fabulous little kitchen supply store. And at the time I was baking for a number of restaurants in the city, and I kind of fancied myself as a bit of a chef, and I would get some fabulous supplies from the store. And it was run by this little old lady who was delightful. And on this particular day, my son and I were going to take a little walk down there and check out what she had. And I was pushing the stroller, and my son was like bebopping around, and we were walking down on Pope Street and we were heading towards the store. And at one point he says, Mom, I'm gonna poop. I'm like, great, good job, you told me, this is great. So we find a little bathroom, he does his thing, he does his great, it's awesome, it's great, like, good job, Mom. And we're walking along and we get to the little store. And I don't know if any of you know the store, it was amazing. It was this beautiful little store, tiny, and there were like 4 aisles, and there was like floor to ceiling shelving, just jam-packed of kitchen supplies. Beautiful, beautiful high-end stuff. And we'd go in, we'd open up the little door, ding-ling-ling, you know, notify the owner that someone's entering, a customer. And I'd park the little stroller by the door, and you know, and then my son would go off and do his thing, and I'd go browsing, and I'd go up and down the aisles looking, and you know, I'm taking it all in, I'm, you know, picking out some beautiful stuff, and then I go across one of the aisles, and I look down, and I see my son, and he's crouched down, and he's little, he's a toddler, he's literally not even 2 yet, and he's got on these fabulous oven mitts, nice high-end oven mitts. And in one hand, in his claw, he's got a pair of tongs. And in the other hand, he's got a spatula. Nice, high-end kitchen tools, right? And he's scooping up what appears to be a nice big turd. And I'm taking it in, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, oh my God. And I'm taking a look, and I'm like, and of course the stroller's by the door, he's there, and the little old lady's here, and I have to get to the stroller to get the wipes, to get the napkins, to get to him to clean it up before she notices. And of course I get to the stroller, I grab the wipes, one wipe, there's one wipe left, of course, one wipe, maybe some Kleenex that's already been used or something. So I'm grabbing supplies, and I'm heading down the aisle, and I'm trying to clean it up, and I'm like, good job, yeah, good job. He's my independent son cleaning it up without telling me. So I'm trying to clean it up, I'm scooping it up, and she's right there. Can I hurt? And she sees it, and she's like, oh, and she's little, she's old, and she's little, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna clean this up, we're gonna get it done. And she's like, and I'm cleaning it, and I'm wiping, and I'm like coming up, and she's pulling paper towels for me, and she's like, oh, I can't have it in the store, the garbage doesn't get collected for another week, and it's gonna attract rats and all this. And I'm like, I'll take care of it, I got it. And so I'm doing some damage control, and I'm cleaning it up, and I'm like, got it up. And she's a trooper. She's clearly not liking the situation, and I'm worried that she's gonna have a little heart attack because she's old. She's like 100. And so we're cleaning it up, we're dealing with it, and I'm figuring out what had happened. My son's wearing sweatpants, and he'd done his poop before he told me he needs to poop. So he'd poop, and it was just sitting in the cuff, the elastic cuff of his pants. And at some point, it had come out in the store, and he decided that he was going to put on some gloves and deal with it, you know. So we deal with it. We figure it out. We clean it up, and I placate her, and I sweet talk her, and I put a lot of stuff in my cart because now I've got to buy a load of stuff to kind of make up for it. And we clean it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna get out of here now. Like, I'm gonna scoop him up, we're gonna put him in the stroller, I'm gonna pay for my stuff. And then I hear a little ding, ding, ling, ding, and I'm trying to get him out the door, and the UPS guy appears, and this guy's like a giant. He's a mountain, and the aisles are narrow, and so he's bringing his big old handcart down the aisle, laden with parcels and packages of beautiful high-end kitchen stuff for this beautiful high-end kitchen store. And he's rolling it down. Hi, missus, how you doing? And I notice that the wheels of the cart were tracking what appears to be more poo. And so it turns out that it wasn't just one nice, tidy, solid turd. There were little nuggets all the way down the aisle. And I'm out of wipes. I'm out of Kleenex, I'm out of ideas, I'm out of patience, I'm shot. And he doesn't give a shit. He's seen it all before. He's like rolling in his car, and he's got his packages, and the woman is just like, she's like one breath away from a heart attack. So now we've got to pull out more kitchen towels. Now we've got to do cleanup, and I wasn't even out the door. So I'm scrubbing her floor, and I'm cleaning up, and I'm chastising. I'm whisper. Any moms here who have ever shouted at their kids? And you've done it where you're like, just wait till I get you home, but you're whispering it, and you're trying to be like, you've got a little smile on your face, and you really want them to have it, and you're just like, you just want to get them home, and you just want to beat the crap out of them, but you can't because that's frowned upon, and you know. So I'm really trying to, pull it together and get him out there and stuff, and I, placate the woman. I buy a load of stuff that I really didn't need, but I'm just like, here, I'll buy this, yeah. So I hustle him out the door. I strap him in the stroller really tight so he can't get out again, ever. And I get out the door, and I go back to the woman, and I'm like, I'm just so sorry. And she's like, she's done. She's just like, just leave, just leave, just leave. She's done. She's all out of the story. So I very quietly leave, and I grab my son, and I'm out the door, and we leave. And I don't ever go back to that store, ever, any store ever, any kitchen appliance store ever again. And I chastised my son. I put him back in diapers until he was fully ready to be potty trained. And still to this day, I wonder what the hell happened to that pair of tongs and the spatula. And that's my story. That is my story. And that is my son! And he will kill me if he hears that I told this story.
Jules, everybody. All right. So we had 3 brave souls that gave me 2-minute stories, and I'm gonna keep you to the 2 minutes. But here's the deal: you guys get to pick. Okay. So here are the 3 options: Snake, Enema, or Dennis Weaver. So, okay, so let's have a show of hands for Snake. We got 1 person, 2 people. Enema, Dennis Weaver. Ooh, it's close. All right, I think we're gonna have to go with Enema. Enema story, come on up. Okay, you have 2 minutes. You got to speak right into the mic. I'm going to time you. All right. Enema.
Can I hold the mic? No.
You're going to sit right there. Yeah, I'm going to give you the
I'd
mic.
like to hold the mic.
Hold on. I'm going to give you this.
Had no idea I've never done this, and didn't know I was going to be talking about my enema. So, I'm in advertising. I was living in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and I was going on a shoot. I'm a creative in advertising. Going on a shoot, I go to Mexico City for the shoot. It's for Old Spice, making an Old Spice commercial. And we're all there, and it's fantastic. It's my birthday. And middle of the shoot, we all got sick because we ate bad food. And all of us are pooping our pants. And it was terrible. And, that happened. Then we got home, and I'm home, and I'm living in this cabin in the woods on Mount Hood. And I have this very, very sweet old neighbor named Sue. And Sue took care of me and stuff because basically when I got home, I was so sick. I was shaking ridiculously and pooping my pants nonstop. I can't believe I'm saying this. And so she drove me to the freaking hospital. And then they got there and they pumped me with some IV, and so then I'm fine, and then they give me some Imodium. And the opposite happened, where I could not poop anymore. So I'm then, for maybe 4 days, I haven't gone to the bathroom after pooping myself insanely for the last week. And I also had my first date with this girl that I asked out in Portland. And so I drive, I'm like at the brink of, I'm like, I can't do it anymore. And so I go I look up what to do, and it says, go get an enema or go, get suppositories. And so I go and I get those things at the drugstore while freaking out in the drugstore because I have to poop so bad, but I can't. And the only place to do this in Portland that I have to go do this is my workplace, Wieden and Kennedy in Portland. This is office before the date. And so I go to the office bathroom, which is like we have like a nice basement bathroom with the gym and stuff. And I'm in the bathroom and I'm just like, damn, I'm about to give myself an enema in my company's bathroom. And then I pooped. Yeah.
Wow. That is definitely the most use of the word poop that we've ever had on stage. Let's give it a big hand. What's your name? Grant. Grant. So give it up for Grant, everybody. So the best part about that story is it leads right into our next story, which is about another bodily function. Let's give it up for Alex, everybody. Give it up for Alex. All right, let you put that somewhere safe.
Thank you.
Okay. Alex, everybody. Alex.
I can't take the microphone off. Sorry. I'm like really high maintenance. Thank you. I like to like stroll when I'm talking.
All right, right into the mic.
Okay. Okay, so when I graduated college, I moved back home because it was during the pandemic. So I was living here in Mill Valley with my mom. And there's, Mill Valley's fun, but there's not a lot going on. And like, for someone that was 23, but the big like holiday of the young folks was Blackout Wednesday, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving when all of your friends come back into town and you hit up all your dive bars and you catch up and it's a really good time. And this particular Blackout Wednesday, I was super hyped because at the time I was seeing a guy that we'll call Biotech Boy. And Biotech Boy did not really like me, even though we were seeing each other. And he made that really clear to me. But at the time, standards were a little bit lower, and I was okay with that. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all dated someone that like doesn't like us, right? Or is that just me, maybe? So this Blackout Wednesday, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to like text Biotech Boy because I don't want to come off as like clingy because he says he doesn't like me. So I'm not going to text him, but I am going to try to go to every bar possible tonight because the more places I go, the higher the likelihood that I will see him, and it will be like really romantic and stuff. That was like the delusion in my head. And all of the friends that I was going out with that night had no idea that this was like my alternative motive, because I was like a little bit embarrassed to be like, hey, like I'm trying to run into this guy that like doesn't really like me, but like I will be on the lookout for him. So I just didn't really say anything to my friends. One of the girls that I went out with is my best friend, Alana. And I met Alana in middle school, 8th grade. We had matching Halloween costumes. And she's like my soul sister. So I was super excited that she was gonna be in town and she was like gonna be part of our crew. So we start off at the 2 a.m. club, strong start, like probably had like 2 or 3 drinks. So I was feeling pretty good. And I was like, wow, I'm like pretty drunk and I haven't like drunk texted him or anything. So like I'm feeling up. I'm buzzed, but I'm also disciplined and like the vibes are good. So yeah, I was like feeling on top of the world. And then we go to our second bar, Silver Peso. Super glad they reopened, right? Because they were closed for like a year. And I just remember it was so packed. And because it was so crowded, I was like, oh, I'll just order all of my drinks at once so I don't have to go back to the bar, right? Like that seems like a good idea, right? So I'm like, efficiency. So 3 vodka cranberries, please, on top of the other drinks I had at the 2 a.m. club. And like now it's kind of starting to get late. And like, I'm like, okay, I'm having a good time, but I'm like low-key kind of running out of steam. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to another bar, which like really kind of puts a barrier in my plan of going to like all the bars possible, because I'm literally only at my 2nd location. But then I get a text and it's Biotech Boy. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna go to Smitty's. Like, are you gonna be there? And I was like, wait, that's so crazy. I was like literally just about to head over there. Like what a coincidence. I'll see you there. So I turned to my friends and I'm like, guys, I know it's late, but we got one more place to go. And they reluctantly come with me to Smitty's. And when we get there, the first thing I want to do is I have to go to the bathroom so bad. Like I have to pee. Like I haven't peed all night because the bars have been so crowded and like I haven't wanted to wait in line for the bathroom. And I also probably just like haven't really been paying attention to like what my body's telling me because I'm like intoxicated. But now that Smitty's is like a little bit more chill, I'm like, I think I might have had to pee for like the last 3 hours and just like haven't like made that cognitive connection. So I grab Alana and I'm like, girl, we're going to the bathroom. So I go into the stall, and the gentlemen in here might not know, but ladies, you probably know, when you're in a public restroom, it's a squat situation because you don't want to like sit on the toilet, and this is a dive bar. They don't have like those fancy liners. So I'm like, okay, like squat, like here we go. I take off my pants and I start peeing. And like the euphoria from this pee was like nothing I've ever felt before. I was like, wow, we're like breaking the seal. Like this is good. I'm literally like closing my eyes. I'm like, yeah, I needed this. And I probably peed for like 2 minutes, which is like kind of a long time. Like 2 minutes is like the length of a good song. Like that's a long time to be peeing. So I'm finished, and I'm like, yeah, that was good. Like, I'm ready to go out there and, like, be the best version of myself. Like, here we go. And I go to pull up my pants, and I'm like, that doesn't feel right. My pants kind of feel heavier and wet. And I look down, and I guess I didn't pull my pants down all the way. And I had just pissed all over my pants. Like, pants are drenched in like 2 minutes worth of pee. So I'm like, okay, like cognitively I've not processed the gravity of the situation until I walk out of the stall and I grab Alana and I'm like, dude, it's really bad. And she was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. It's probably fine, like what's going on? I turn around and I show her the situation and she's like, okay, yeah, no, that's really bad. And like I said, Alana I met in middle school. I've known her 10 plus years. Like she's a really good friend, and I'm sure everyone here has a friend where you don't even need to talk to them to like have a conversation. Like you just know each other so well and you're so in sync. And I just remember looking at her and like she's looking back at me and she just says, absolutely not, Alex. I'm not doing this. And I'm like, girl, but Biotech Boy is gonna pull up any minute and I'm literally in pee pants right now. I will literally give you my firstborn, like please. So we shake on it and we do a little switcheroo and she switches pants with me because she's a good friend, and we switch pants and I look at her and I'm like, girl, can I have the shoes too? Because like the outfit has to match, okay? Like the outfit has to match. She gives me her shoes and I was like, okay, like honestly, new outfit for my firstborn, like, it's a great deal. Like, this is awesome. So we go out, and Biotech Boy is there. I'm in not pee pants, which is, great. And it's so funny because Alana is so charismatic and so smart and like so pretty that night, like, she was like still kind of the belle of the ball in her pee pants. And she was also drinking a lot, so to her, it was totally normal to be like, oh, what, this? Like, this isn't my pee. This is actually my friend's. Like, totally normal. Like, didn't even faze her. So she was having a great time. And it's so funny because even though she was the one that ended up wearing the pee pants, her night was so much better than mine. Like, I talked to Biotech Boy and we got into like a huge fight because he sucks. And so I guess the moral of the story is we should probably pull your pants all the way down before you go to the bathroom. And that even though I didn't get like my dream boy at the time or whatever, Alana and I, like, our friendship like really peaked in that moment. And she's like always been such a good friend, and I still owe her my firstborn. So yeah. Okay.
Alex, everybody, Alex. Oh, yeah. Alex told that story before, and she was like, oh, girls do that. And I'm like, they do? And I could tell by all of the women in here, like, no, yeah, I would not. Would you? So, some would. But guys would never do that in a million, billion years. Okay. I'll do that for you. Thanks, Fred. Love you, Fred. All right, one more for Alex. Okay, we are going to close this with a story for the ages. This is Paula, and I want you guys to give a huge round of applause for Paula coming up to close up our night for the 2-year anniversary. Paula! Woo-hoo. Yeah. I get to do it. Thank you.
Those kids are gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Kids are gone. Okay. I found myself single.
Right up to the mic.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I found myself single for the first time in 30 years. My husband had moved out. My kids were grown. And I was told by an astrologer that I was about to embark on a sexual awakening that defies all social norms. But it was COVID. And I'd got on the apps and I'd seen all these things and descriptions of like poly and pan and unicorns, and I thought, well, I mean, I've got to investigate further. And there was rumors going around about these things called fuck pods during COVID. Now, a fuck pod was essentially 6 or 8 people that would cohabitate together and just fuck each other through the pandemic. And I thought, well, maybe that's part of my sexual awakening. So how do I find one of these fuck pods? Well, I knew a guy who was dabbling in the poly world, and I asked him, how do I get into one of these pods? Do I just show up, or do you get invited? He said, well, there's some training and some protocols and things you've got to learn before you engage in this kind of lifestyle. And I said, okay, tell me about it. And he said, well, there are these camps. So I did some little Googling, and I found that there are these sex camps, and they're all over the world. And this one coming up happened to be not too far away, up in Lake County. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Lake County, but it's a fucking weird place. You've got Trumpers, you've got meth heads, you've got Christian camps that are now sex camps, apparently. So I register, I pay $2,000, and I decide, look, I'm divorced. I got the house and the cash. I got $2,000 to blow on my sexual awakening. It's worth it, believe me. So I pay $2,000 and I go there for 7 days. And the accommodation choices are you can camp. I'm not camping. I'm not sleeping on the ground. You can sleep in a bunkhouse with 6 or 8 other strangers. I wasn't ready for that. Or you can have a solo accommodation. So when I get there, they point 50 yards behind the reception that there's a shed. So that is my home for the next 7 days. I sleep in a shed. So after dinner, we all gather in the main hall, which they call the sanctuary, which I find very funny because this was actually an old Christian retreat center. So we're gathered inside, and the demographics of the people who were attending this sex camp were ages 18 to 80. There was even a mother and son duo. Yeah, it's Lake County, you know, anything goes. It's like it's all part of whatever I'm supposed to be doing. And there was an 80-year-old guy named Mac, a Scottish guy who was celebrating his 80th year, and he always wore his kilt. So we gathered, there were about 70 people, and mostly white, probably mostly hetero, but it was hard to really tell. And at this point, also I should add, after being in a hetero marriage, I realized I didn't want any more penises in my life. So I was kind of looking at the ladies and kind of trying to suss out like what kind of excitement I was going to get there. So we sit in a circle, 8 people in our group. We have pod leader. Oh, they're called pods too, by the way. So we have a pod leader, and the people who were facilitating and leading these pods had a very interesting look. They looked like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean meets Renaissance Fair. So our leader, JP, he looked somewhat like a French fur trapper from the 1800s. There's 8 of us sitting in a circle, and the first exercise is to stand up, introduce yourselves, tell everybody why you're there, and take your clothes off. Now, I don't read details. I don't read fine print. I just am in for the experience, but I am already telling myself, absolutely not. There is no way I'm going to do this. But there's always one exhibitionist in every group, and this woman, about 6 feet tall, looks like she came down from the foothills of Shasta. She takes her robe off, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I have never seen a bush that unruly and unmanageable ever. I mean, it matched the Daniel Boone skin cap that she was wearing on top of her head. So then some of the men went, and people were going around, and it's sort of like coming to me, but before there's a woman who's roughly my age, and she's just so beautiful and graceful, and she stands, and she drops her robe, and her body looks beautiful, and it's not too dissimilar from mine. I mean, she's got saggy tits and a little bit of a belly, but I think I look kind of good like that. So it comes around to me, and I'm so nervous. I stand up, and I'm wearing a full-length muumuu. I take it off, and they clap for me. You guys, they were clapping. They knew I was embarrassed and really shy, and I felt so cared for and supported by my pod. The second night, there's 7 nights of this stuff. So the second night, we were instructed by the facilitator to show up promptly at 7 o'clock back in the sanctuary. We were to be showered and groomed. I don't know if anyone pulled Shasta Girl aside, but I was kind of hoping someone would have a word with her. And bring any pleasure devices you may wish to enjoy. So I'm still like, I'm like, what is gonna happen? And I'm 50 feet from the sanctuary, and I'm late. And there is 69 mats all around the circle, 6 inches apart, and everybody is laying naked on their mat. And the only one available is between these 2 dudes. And I don't want to be around dudes, but it's like, get there early, find the chicks, whatever. And so I lay down, and the one guy to my left, his name is Eric. He has very clean socks, which I think is very sweet and safe and appropriate. He was in my pod and he cheered for me, so I feel kind of safe with him. The guy on my right looks like he's maybe on leave from Camp Pendleton, Special Forces, military haircut. I'm convinced he's killed people. So I'm probably going to be pretty safe. So the facilitator, we start doing some breathing, and there's the music, and then now she's invited everybody to begin touching themselves if they are so called. Also, she reminds us that we are to stay on our mats and not touch anybody and keep your hands to yourself, which made me think of preschool nap time, right? Very similar vibe. So there's music and breathing, and then all of a sudden, one by one, you hear like click, buzz, click, buzz. And so people are like turning on their vibrators, and I'm just like, I'm kind of frozen, but then I'm like, well, I paid a lot of money. I might as well just lean into this sexual awakening business. And so I kind of turn to my left, and there's Eric, and he looks back at me, and I'm like, oh, this is so weird. And then the other guy turned to my right, and I make eye contact with him, and that's really weird. And then things are just kind of going, and then you could kind of feel the mood in the sanctuary changing. It's like people are starting getting turned on. There's like this like culmination of orgasm that's about to happen. It's like Steph Curry shooting that final three-pointer at Chase Center in like the last seconds of the game, you know. That was night 2. I don't have enough time to go into every night, but I will say that that old guy with the kilt needed medical attention on the 3rd night after a pre-prep orgy lecture. And then there was a very large German woman who was inviting people, in a wheelchair, by the way, that's important. She was in a wheelchair, and she was inviting people to be flogged. So, I mean, what I realized after, 7 days of this was that, I think I'm just a good old-fashioned lesbian. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Here we go. There's pictures, right? That's a picture. Go back. Go back. Here we go. That's Paul, everybody. Paula! Hey, Paula, who are these people? Who are these people? What's that? Oh, there we go. See? $2,000 was worth it. Congratulations. Well, there it is, everybody. We did it. 2 years. Woo! It's amazing. There we go. I want to thank all the storytellers here. They did such an amazing job. I want to thank Jules for helping us have this place. We are going to have pizza and some drinks. And thank everybody. I'm Gary Rudman. Come back next week. Our next show is July 10th, which is soon. It's an open stories slam, so any theme will work. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.